21st, 2019. My name is Bill McCamley. I'm the Secretary of the New Mexico Workforce Solutions Department, and this is your update for the later part of February. I've been involved with the legislature quite a bit. As many of you know, the New Mexico legislative session this year is a 60-day session running from the middle of January through the middle of March. And Governor Lujan Grisham has asked her cabinet secretaries to be really involved with policy formation. And this is a little bit of a change, as the previous administration had a pretty restrictive view on their cabinet secretaries. But, you know, the governor hired us to be issue experts and to be involved with legislators and helping things move forward, and we're trying to do so. So there's two big bills coming up on Saturday where I will be involved in the discussions, and the Workforce Solutions Department is important to talk to. The first is Senate Bill 489. This bill does a couple of things, and it's actually really complicated, but does two major things. Increases the renewable portfolio standards for the state, so requires utility companies like El Paso Electric and PNM to raise the amount of power they have on their grid that comes from clean energy sources. And this will basically allow New Mexico to agree with the Paris Climate Change Accords, which the governor signed on to, and this will allow us to move towards a much cleaner power production system in the state. It also allows for PNM, the big electric company in the middle of the state, to shut down the coal plant that they have currently running in San Juan County in Farmington and recover their costs from the ratepayers. This is a very, very complicated thing. Senator Candelaria, actually a good friend of mine, has been working very, very hard to negotiate this. The governor supports the bill, and there's a big component for the Workforce Solutions Department. First, there's $20 million of severance pay and direct worker training. That'll go to PNM for them to give to the workers that are being laid off from both the coal mine and the power plant. But there's another $20 million that's going to be coming to state agencies, $14 million to the Workforce Solutions Department, and $6 million to the Economic Development Department to help transition San Juan County and the Farmington area away from a really reliance on this coal industry. It's kind of going away. This has to happen. And our job then is to use that money efficiently and effectively. Now, how are we going to do that? We're starting to look into it. We want to have local people involved, but I've been doing a lot of research into the base realignment and closure process called BRAC, when a military base closes in a town. And this is pretty similar to what's going on over here, right? You have a major employer that's closing its doors. You're getting kind of what they call a parachute payment to help move those away. So what are the lessons learned from successful BRAC transitions? Number one, all governments and private sector agencies have to be working together. Number two, there needs to be a target approach on one or two economic areas. You can't have these people want to do this, and these people want to do this, and these people want to do this, et cetera, and so on, because you've only got a limited amount of resources, and they've got to be targeted together. And thirdly, you've got to start sooner rather than later. The longer you wait in terms of planning and implementation for new education strategies, new infrastructure, the worse it gets. Other thing that's going to be coming up on Saturday in the afternoon is a real big discussion on the minimum wage. There's a House Bill 31 and Senate Bill 437 are both going to be considered in the same meeting in the Senate. There's differences there in the overall rates. House Bill 31 goes 10, 11, 12 in consecutive years. Senate Bill 437 stays at 10. There's differences in the CPI. House Bill 31 actually has, once it hits $12 an hour, goes up according to the cost of living every year. The Senate bill does not have that. There's a much different approach to the tipped credit. This is the different kind of wage structure that restaurant employees, front room employees make, rather than what everybody else gets on the minimum wage. And there's a different approach to youth payments. And so there's plenty of newspaper articles out there showing the differences, but those will be talked about on Saturday. And as the Workforce Solutions Department, which not only is in charge of enforcing wage theft, so we got to know what's going on, we would also be in charge of figuring out what the CPI is and what increase, if that is involved in this scenario. So that's kind of what we're looking at on legislation. And there's a couple other things I'm working on. I'll be back to you in a couple of weeks to talk about the STEM championship and apprenticeship programs. But as always, I appreciate you all watching this. And if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns on these or any other issues, love to talk with you about them, and hope everyone's having a great week. Bye.